Vuela raga, how's it going everybody? I hope you're all doing great today. In today's video, I'd like to share with you guys some of my thoughts on Italian versus French. So I've been studying Italian for a little over 11 years, and I've been studying French for a little over 1 year. So my knowledge of Italian is a lot deeper than my knowledge of French, but there have been a lot of things that I've noticed because once you already master one Romance language, it's pretty easy to jump into learning another. So for example, I've been able to learn so much more about French than I did about Italian in just a little over a year. But basically, when it comes to what language is easier and what language is harder, I really think that just comes down to someone's personal preference, because there are things that are harder and easier about both languages, and I think it really just depends on how you really interpret it. For a lot of the verb tenses in French, the verb endings are pretty much the same, or if not the same, extremely close. So if you don't really have a hard time remembering very slight differences when it comes to different verb tenses, French you're going to find a lot easier. Whereas with Italian, there's a lot more differences in their verb endings. So if you're the kind of person that does better when you can know, okay, future tense is going to look completely different from the conditional tense, and it's going to look totally different from the imperfect tense. If you need everything to be separate and apart, Italian is going to be easier for you. If you like more consistency, then French is for you. So here's an example. If I take the verb manger in French, which is mangiare in Italian, and before I get into this, please pardon my pronunciation and my accent with French. Yet again, I've only been studying this language for a little over a year, so it's not going to be as clean and nice as my Italian pronunciation is. So anyway, if I take the future tense, for example, which is very, very similar to the conditional tense in French, you're going to find that the sound and the way that you write these verbs in both tenses is very, very similar. So in the future tense, I would say je mangerai, or je mangerai. I think slowly would be je mangerai, but quickly, because I know in French my teacher always likes to tell me you have to speak it a little bit faster and you don't have to always pronounce every E, so it should be je mangerai. Je mangerai is the future, I will eat. Then the conditional is je mangerai. Je mangerai. It's pretty much the same thing, but my teacher always likes to tell me je mangerai in the future is a shorter sound at the end, je mangerai. And then when I do it in the conditional, it has to be a little bit longer at the end, kind of more of an A sound. Je mangerai, je mangerai. So je mangerai, je mangerai. I don't know if you can hear the difference. I don't know if I'm even doing it right, but that's what my French teacher has tried to really drill into my brain. Whereas in Italian, we take the verb mangiare. If I put it in the future, it's mangerò. And if I put it in the conditional, it's mangerei. So there is a lot of similarity here between Italian and French, but there is a very clear difference in the sound and in the way that you write mangerò in the future and mangerei in the conditional. But there is so much that's similar about Italian and French. I do find the French direct and indirect object pronouns harder simply because in French you have to always use the pronoun before a verb. In Italian it's completely optional. So I'm going to show you a little example. This is how I teach direct and indirect object pronouns to all of my students. Basically I call it a drill down or a funnel down approach. We begin with a really long phrase, we change just the direct or the indirect object pronoun, and then we just change the other one and then we bring it together. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let's take a look at how to say they give the book to me, and then what it's going to become is they give the book to me, they give it to me, and then they give it to me again, because in French and Italian there's two ways of saying that. So in French, and yet again please pardon my pronunciation, they give the book to me is il donne le livre à moi. Then they give it to me is il le donne à moi. And then to say they give it to me, shortening everything even more, il me le donne. This is identical to Italian. Loro, which is optional, danno il libro a me, so just simply danno il libro a me. Then to make it shorter, we can say mi danno il libro, and then to shorten it even more, we can say me lo danno. So if you were to write these down and look at them side by side, they're pretty much identical. The only thing that's different is that in Italian we don't need the pronoun. So for direct and indirect object pronouns, they're really, really super similar. The only thing that just trips me up with French is always having to remember the pronouns, the subject pronouns. So for that, I say French is harder and Italian is easier. But when it comes to pronunciation and just looking at a word, reading it, and then pronouncing it, Italian, in my opinion, is way easier because the way that you read something, the way that you write it is the same way that you're gonna pronounce it. With very, very few exceptions, like the GLI in Italian, which makes a Y sound, and the GN, which makes a Nya sound, for example. Whereas in French, there's so many exceptions, and then there's something called the liaison in order to connect words to make it sound nice. So I'll give you an example. In Italian, to say, "Hi, my name is Tom and I'm American," I would say, "Ciao, mi chiamo Tom e sono americano." So this, everything just kind of flows nicely because we have vowels everywhere. But in French, they don't have vowels everywhere. So in order to make everything sound nice and flowy, you do something called a liaison. So in between where I say, "I am American," it's gonna be combined. I'll break it down for you. So to say, "Hi, my name is Tom and I'm American," I would say this in French. "Salut, je m'appelle Tom et je suis américain." Now, in French, I said, "Je suis américain," because you have to do the liaison there. When I was first learning French on my own and I didn't have a teacher, I was completely lost because I was just saying, "Je suis américain." And even though that's not horrible, you can know what it is, it's not proper. You're supposed to say, "Je suis américain." So here's what I'm gonna do for you guys. I'm gonna read something a little bit longer. I'm gonna show you how it's written and I'm gonna pronounce it to the best of my ability in French. In Italian, I got no problem doing it, but in French, it's gonna take a little bit of effort, so please pardon my French. Point is though, I just wanna show you how you typically would pronounce something in French, how you read it, how it's written, how you're saying it, versus Italian. And this is it's from like a love song from the 70s. I just happen to be familiar with the lyrics, so it's a little bit easier for me to say in French. So, here we go. Et si tu n'existais pas, dis-moi pourquoi j'existerais. Pour traîner dans un monde sans toi, sans espoir et sans regret. Et si tu n'existais pas, je serais d'inventer l'amour, comme un peintre qui voit sous ses doigts naître les couleurs du jour et qui ne revient pas. I think I messed up on that second to last line. Naître les couleurs du jour et qui ne revient pas. I think I kind of got it right. Maybe I'll get like an 85 out of 100. So now let me show you the same exact set of lyrics from the song called Et si tu n'existais pas by I think Joe Dassin, his name is. I believe he's American actually, that's what my French teacher told me. Anyway, here's an Italian translation that I found online. You can hear the difference in pronunciation and you can also see the difference in how it's written, but a lot of words are really, really similar. E se non esistessi, dimmi perché esisterei io, per trascinare in un mondo senza te, senza speranza e senza rimpianti. E se non esistessi, avrei provato ad inventare l'amore, come un pittore che vede sotto le sue dita nascere I colori del giorno e chi non ci crede. So what I really find when I pronounce these two sets of lyrics in both languages, I find that in French, my mouth feels a lot tighter. You know, I have to get that R in the back of my throat. There's also a lot more nasal vowels going on. And I also feel I'm a lot quieter. A lot of my French pen pals have told me when I speak French, sometimes when I speak it like I'm speaking Italian, one of my friends told me, "You sound a little stressed out, are you okay?" She said, "Be calm when you speak French." Now this is just stuff that my friends have told me, but I always keep that in the back of my mind. Speak calmly. So I say like, "Et si tu n'existais pas, dis-moi pourquoi j'existerais." Whereas when I'm speaking in Italian, I go, "E se non esistessi, dimmi perché esisterei io." It feels a lot more expressionate when I'm speaking in Italian, and it could just be because I'm more used to it. But Italian just has a little bit more of a robust sound, in my opinion. It's a lot more open with its sounds. I still do speak a fair amount in the back of my throat, whereas in English, it could also be my American accent. It's a lot more in the front of my mouth, it feels. So whenever I'm speaking a Romance language, it's always a lot farther back in my throat. So like when I say like, "Ciao," you know, like for hi, which is a lot higher, maybe a little bit more nasal, more to the front of the mouth. In Italian, I go, "Ciao, come stai?" Or in French, "Salut, comment ça va?" It's a lot more nasal, a lot more in the back. So there's just a difference in even how you speak languages. But long story short, I don't think that one language is harder than the other, that one language is easier than the other. They're so similar. It really just comes down to personal preference, and there are a ton more reasons why one language has some things that are easier than the other in someone's personal opinion. I just went over very, very few things today. I hope for all of my French-speaking friends that are watching, I did not completely butcher your beautiful language. I love it so much, and I'm really trying my best to learn it and to be fluent in it, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So guys, thanks so much for tuning in and checking out this video. I really hope that you liked it and maybe even learned something new. If you are new to my channel, be sure to subscribe so you can get notified as to when I put out new videos. Always remember to spread the love, and I'll catch you guys all in the next video. Ciao!